Are you a property investor that's looking to rent your property on a long lease through a social housing provider? You might well be thinking, that sounds awesome, but how the hell am I going to get a mortgage for that? Well, stick around because on this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can get a mortgage for your social housing property. Property is about patience. Thanks for sticking around, guys. I'm Sam Norris, the property investors broker and owner and director of Grand Union Finance. And as I was saying, today we're going to be talking all about mortgages for social housing properties. But before we get into it, please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button because it helps me just get this video out to more and more people, which, you know, is helpful to grow my channel. Now, let's get straight into it. First and foremost, what the hell is social housing and how does this pertain to a property investment strategy? Well, a lot of my clients look to rent their properties to social housing providers. These are organizations that might be charities, local councils, supported living organizations that will rent your property from you on a longer lease than the normal sort of 12 months AST. And they will then tenant the property. Sometimes they'll tenant it with a family, sometimes they'll tenant it with individuals that will reside in each individual room. And what this does is it provides probably the closest thing that you can get to a passive income stream as an investor when you're investing in property, because effectively you don't really have to do anything for about, between usually 2 and 10 years in some instances, because your social housing provider is responsible for both the upkeep and tenanting the property. They will give you a guaranteed rent for that period of time, and that means that you can pretty much swan off into the sunset and not worry about it for a specific period of time. So it's becoming a much more popular strategy for investors moving forward. Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? Well, the big problem that we come up against is, of course, trying to get mortgages for these types of property strategies. It's actually a little bit more tricky than you may first think. In fact, this is a common misconception that you can just go and get a standard buy-to-let mortgage for this. That's not the case at all. There are specific lenders, both on the residential side and on the commercial side, that will have very specific criteria that will either allow or not allow certain types of social housing strategies. And a lot of lenders, if I'm completely honest, don't like it at all. So what kind of criteria are we looking at here when we're determining whether we can look at a residential lender or whether we are forced to work with a commercial lender? Because traditionally, these types of strategies have meant that we've needed to use commercial lending. That's no bad thing. Commercial lenders are great, but they can be a little bit more expensive than the residential market. So we're aiming to try and see if we can get residential buy-to-let mortgages for this. So first and foremost, we have to look at the criteria that residential lenders like. If you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to actually share with you my top tip for getting a mortgage for social housing. So stick around till the end of the video and I'll share that with you. First and foremost, they're not keen on really long leases. So as much as these leases are longer than the standard 12-month AST, typically we need to keep this to between 2 and 5 years in order to access the residential market. Included in that lease, we also need to see a 12-month break clause in there so that the lender has access to the property to sell it if the worst should happen and you don't keep up your repayments and you're unfortunately repossessed. The last thing on the list is that the social housing provider that you are using or you are choosing to work with need to be on the government's social housing provider register. I'll link that register in the show notes below so that you can have access to this and go and check and see if your social housing provider is listed on this particular list. If they're not on there, we are going to be forced to use commercial lenders because residential lenders will only work with social housing providers that are on there. As a quick side note, Serco, S-E-R-C-O, which are one of the main nationwide social housing providers, are not on this list. It doesn't mean that they're not reputable at all. It actually means that they're just not on this list but it means that we have to use a commercial lender in that instance. Now, the other thing that confuses people with this particular strategy is that you don't have social housing mortgage products. If you were renting a property on an HMO basis, you'd get an HMO mortgage. If you're renting your property through a serviced accommodation strategy, you would be getting a short let or serviced accommodation mortgage. When it comes to social housing, there's no products. It's all about the criteria. It's the way in which the property is tenanted that will determine whether we go for a buy-to-let or an HMO mortgage. So when you're speaking to your social housing provider, ask them, how is the property going to be tenanted? Are you going to be putting a single family in there, in which case we'll be looking for a single buy-to-let mortgage product? Or are you looking to rent the property on a room-by-room basis to various different tenants, in which case we're looking for an HMO product? Now, there are some positives and negatives to the HMO route, which I'll go through now. So the first one is, or the first positive, I should say, is that the first positive is that you're going to be earning some extra cash from that, because like any HMO, when it's rented out on a room by room basis, generally the income that you generate is going to be higher, which obviously is a massive, massive positive. Also, another positive, the second positive, is that even in an Article 4 area where you would need to get planning permission to convert your C3 single unit classified family home property into a C4 small HMO property, you don't need to get the planning permission that you would normally need in an Article 4 area, because social housing providers are exempt from this. So that's another reason why you might want to push on this particular method of tenanting the property. However, the main drawback is we have to conform to the lender's HMO strategy. We have to conform to the lender's HMO criteria as well as the social housing criteria. So generally speaking, if you don't have 2 years worth of experience renting property as a landlord, you are probably going to struggle to find a lender that's going to lend to you, because we're going to need to take out an HMO mortgage. Therefore, we need to adhere to HMO criteria with that lender. So as you can see, some positives and negatives from both sides there on going for an HMO or not. So guys, there you have it. That is how you get a mortgage for social housing. Probably a little bit more to it than you first thought. But as you may remember from the beginning of the video, I did promise you that I would share with you my top tip for getting a mortgage for social housing purposes. And this is it. Get a draft copy of the lease as soon as you possibly can. The reason for this is we can actually send this to a lender prior to even doing a decision in principle, and we can get them to give us the thumbs up that they're comfortable with that particular lease, which, okay, we've still got a few hurdles to jump through in terms of the getting a decision in principle, submitting the application, valuations and all that kind of stuff. But the main thing here that is causing us to go with one lender or another is going to be what's inside that lease. And if a lender isn't happy with it, they can tell us early doors, rather than wasting a ton of time doing all of this paperwork if it's never actually going to go anywhere in the first place. So that is my absolute 100% top tip when it comes to social housing mortgages. Guys and gals, thank you ever so much for sticking around. If you have enjoyed this video, please share it with as many people as you possibly can. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you can give it a little like, I would be very, very appreciative of that also. If there's anything in this video that's caused you any concerns or you've got any questions, please use the comment section below, and I am more than happy to come back and answer any questions that you guys have got. But for the time being, thanks very much for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next video.